Previously on a True Blue Challenge. I get myself an impressive Impreza, hold a lot of cash from winning the Stars of Pleiades, had to sell my only racing car for a high price, won the sports truck race and finished the beginners events, and in celebration, I've bought the NSX-R. With that having said, I welcome you back to the world of Gran Turismo. With the new Honda in hand, I marched to the first of many events in the professional level, the Clubman Cup. One could say this is the Sunday Cup of the professional events, but with tougher opponents to fit the player's progression into the game. 5 events, 6 racers each, 1 winner. Confident in my new premium Honda, I've signed myself into the race. The first event was set on the Apricot Hill Raceway, a Gran Turismo original. This time, my competition drove a middle-engine compact, an Integra, a small speedster, the Pichio guy who, again, was way over his head. Seriously, did he learn nothing from the 4-wheel drive challenge? And the last but actually starting first, an infamous car for its snap oversteer. The lights counted us down, and off we go. Immediately, I outsped the Integra. By the way, wrong type R, buddy. I've overtaken the Renault, tried a questionable method to do away with the Opel and the Pichio, but apparently, it didn't work. I was consigned to watch as the Speedster and the 205 duked it out for a second. Looks like he has put a lot to his Pichio. Last time he couldn't even beat a Ram. Now here he is, holding his ground against a Speedster. Ultimately though, the Speedster proved to be better and won the fight. The Pichio had gone far too wide and allowed me to steal third. That Opel might have won the fight, but the war has yet to be won. I waited for the Opel to brake and did so a bit later, allowing me to take P2 before the hairpin. I faced down the MR2, telling it the best I could, and challenged the Toyota to a respectable contest of power on the straights. I was pulling in closer and closer, and finally gotten into position to take the win. But the MR2 driver was not a graceful racer, as was shown by this pathetic act in an attempt to shove my car to the grass. Fortunately, the intimidation the corner radiated was bigger than the temptation to unfairly knock me out of commission. Our battle continued. I chose to take the wider line in hopes of outpowering the MR2 in order to get first place, which I did. Once the duel was concluded, I began to build a strong lead over my rivals. Over time, the distance between me and my rivals increased until ultimately, I won by a commanding lead. In complete contrast, the 205 finished last, just like the last time. The second race was set on the eastern part of the twin ring Motegi. Well. Isn't that Lotus familiar? Looks like a certain night whale came back for round 2. I'll be more than happy to serve. Right before the first corner, the prelude was taken care of. The Carlton surprisingly held well, but unfortunately braked too early before the turn. I managed to slip past both the Eclipse and the Elise, giving me a shot at the Clio. Surprisingly, the Clio, out of all the racers here, managed to gap the rest. Not for long though, as I've proven my NSX to be more powerful and was more capable to handle the corners. Before the first lap had ended, I've commanded a convincing lead over my competition. Looks like the Elise really wanted a redemption arc. Back then, I struggled against it in the MX-5. Now that I'm in an objectively better car, I've got a Nightwell lagging far behind. Put more power in that Elise would you? Maybe then you'll get to contest me. I made a small oopsie on the turn, and of course, Nightwell was quick to secure advantage of that and remove the gap I had. But if he thinks that was enough to topple my lead, he would be very wrong. I remained first until the end. 2 races down, 3 more to go. The second round was set on the heart of South Korea. It was nice of them to allocate this much space in an otherwise busy city of Seoul just for our little event. Well, the rosters for this race is familiar. Yep, the MR2 was there, Pichio guy came back. Wow, you really do not know when to quit, do you? Honestly, impressive. Many should learn from your resilience, but definitely not your skill. Putting them aside, we got the same Speedster from Apricot Hill Race, as well as the same Integra, and the Clio looked very familiar. The exact same lineup as Apricot Hill. You guys better have improved from our last meeting, or history is about to repeat itself right here in this city. I didn't manage to take the Clio on the first corner, already an improvement from the last time. Good, I like it when I have to actually earn my wins. On the second corner though, the Clio was overtaken. Apparently, I misjudged this corner and as a result was roughly introduced to the barriers. I tailed the Integra and managed to climb to fourth, but again misread the corners and once again was familiarized to the barriers. As I tried to catch up to the leading three, I could hear the roars of the engines belonging to my competition behind me, a constant reminder for me to keep on my toes. While I was busy climbing, I didn't notice the massive divide the MR2 had created. But before I get to address that, I must first win against the Speedster and the 205. The Peugeot, again, lost to the Speedster right before losing their spot to me before the Speedster was convinced to move to the side. Then, my business would be ending that MR2's reign. I took the corner with care and drove as fast as my NSX allowed to reach the leader, but yet again, missed the apex on the corner and smooched the barriers yet again. On the third lap, I tried to take the MR2 from the inside, but instead of overtaking, I revisited the barrier. I really need to stop doing this. Finally, after many mistakes and errors, I've overtaken the MR2 through a beautifully executed turn. On the final lap, I finally managed to turn that corner cleanly, and after a series of clean turns, I've grown my advantage over the MR2, with thousands of adoring audiences as my witness. I finished the race first, 5 seconds ahead of the MR2. The third race was set on the Clubman stage, Route 5. Of course, no Clubman Cup would be complete without a race on the Clubman stage. The roster was unchanged. Interesting. Alright, if you insist, I shall repeat history again, this time on this beautiful street course. I remained close on the inside of the round tunnel, bopped off the Clio out of my way, and escaped last place. After the Clio was done, I wasted no time in weaving through the Integra for fourth. This time, the Speedster was behind the 205. That's what I call progress, Peugeot man. But unfortunately, he did not progress enough as it was relatively simple to overtake him and gain his spot. Like in Seoul, the MR2 proved to be the biggest threat of them all. I tailgated the Toyota and shot past it inside the tunnel and immediately gapped them all. On the third lap, I thought to use a wider line inside the tunnel to exert more power to the car. It still exited neatly off the round corner. I then got close and personal to the track's limits and gracefully processed the corners. With the third lap becoming my best lap in this whole race, I considered my more offensive approach to be a success. Then I set to preserve it for the remainder of the race. On the fourth lap, I powered through that tunnel, hit the apexes of the corners, and landed an even faster lap. But on the final lap, I hiccuped a little. Whether it was my degrading tires or my stamina, I was clumsy on the final lap. I marked a time of 2 seconds lower than the previous lap. While I still won, I thought I could do that final lap better. It's a good thing I came here before the golden trophy, not the personal best. The last race of this little cup was set on the Deep Forest Raceway. Oh, Jack's here too. This track is nostalgic for us, isn't it? Let's see how better your Elise fares against my NSX in this very track, where you gave me quite a hard time in Spider and Roadster. I took the hairpin on the inside, outracing the Prelude. The Elise was battling the Eclipse when I came around to ruin their party. In one move, both of them were overtaken. This has put me in third. The Carlton was next, and soon, I found myself catching up to the Clio to battle it for first. The Clio had fought well, but went too wide on the corner, allowing me to take the win. That was slow, wasn't it? Let's fix that on the second lap. On this lap, I took to the track with an increase in aggressiveness. That included the last corner, which in my opinion, I took well. As I had started the final lap, beating the slowpokes was my focus no longer. Instead, I tried to score the lap as fast as I can. Oh no, that was not meant to happen. I may have scored a personal best, but I wouldn't count that. I'll feel dirty otherwise. Anyways, first place, with Jack sitting in second yet again. That's the fifth and final race of the Clubman Cup 1. This time, the car that would be mine by right after all that effort would be... purple. Mazda Speed 6.
That was fire, bro.
Thanks, you're not too bad yourself.
Since you get a year yourself, how about I get you in on this event? I'm a regular there, so I can get people in easy.
That'll be great. What event are we talking about though?
The Type R meeting. Ever heard of that?
Can't say I have.
What? Someone like you? That's new. Well, as it maybe has said, this event's exclusive for Type Rs only, like my Integra Type over here, and your NSX-R over there. Any Honda with that red R badge can join. You get 5 races in there. First gets you 10 grand each. I ain't telling you the price right though. Don't wanna ruin the surprise.
That's a lot of prize money. Alright, I'm in.
Sweet. I cannot wait to race you again, babe.
Same here. See you on the track. The first event of the Type R meeting was set on the Twin Ring Motor Game. 4 laps, the whole course, 6 Type Rs, but only one can come out on top, and I'm certain that one would be mine. On the first corner, I went in the deeper side of the corner and overtook the yellow Integra. The Civic surprisingly held well against me, only to lose it in a corner through a mistimed braking. A familiar face came up next. Looks like his Integra succumbed to an exception common in front-wheel drive cars. Understeer. I took his spot while he was still outside the asphalt and outpowered the red Integra before it. Around the corner, the leading Civic was caught. The first lap had yet to end, but already I've created a huge gap between me and them. Alone, uninterrupted on the front, that was the prime time for me to learn the track. I thought the fourth turn could be handled precisely by railing or the curbs. The exit was a bit twitchy though, and would you look at that, the white Civic pretty much secured second with all that distance. Anyways, to negotiate with this one, I resorted to controlling the input I gave to the throttle. This helped in maintaining as much speed as I could while remaining on the line. A beautiful execution on the 7th turn. As soon as I exited that one, I was linked to the 8th. I slowed down for the sharp corner the 9th turn featured. After the 10th turn, despite all the grid and the gate, that was not the finish line for this layout of the track. This one is. As the Civic had just entered the 3rd lap, I've already cleared both turn 1 and 2. At that point, my only task for the remainder of this race would be to not make a big mistake and cruise to victory. I used the signs on the left side of the track to time my brake in order to perfectly negotiate with the 10th turn. I felt no problems on this lap, and the record showed personal best. For the final lap though, things had gotten a bit crude. Honestly, I don't think I'll be topping the record with this lap. The green on the tires had become a little bit too bright for my liking, but to the surprise of yours truly, I knocked my own personal best on this very lap. That was the first event down. Onto the next race. The second race was set on the Autumn Ring, another Gran Turismo original. This time, there were not only one, but 2 competing NSXs. An older model, yes, but still a NSX. Hold up, someone's missing. Let me call him. Hello? I thought you were racing an Autumn Ring about now.
No, I sleep on that one. I'm allergic.
Allergic?
Yeah, to the track only. We ain't how this human body works,
Sure. Anyways, I'm up. Take care. Well, that was weird. Anyways, racing time. I decided to take the inside and overtaken the yellow NSX. The Integra tried to dive onto me, but I remained resolute. Instead, I took over 4th place. The roundabout came up next, and I decided to capitalize that to win over the white Civic. This effort was super effective, as I have also netted the black Civic spot, gaining P2. As expected, the toughest racer I would need to beat here would be a fellow NSX driver. He got the same exact model as mine too. The only thing different was, he colored his NA2 in such a questionable color, especially compared to my objectively more beautiful Honda in Monte Carlo blue. I might not judge too much of his odd taste of aesthetics, but I will definitely judge his driving skills by overtaking him, gaining P1. Despite the car's revs on the reds, I refused to shift gears as I knew I would need to slow down for the upcoming turn. This judgment bared sweet fruits as I maintained my pace along the corners. For a while, the oddly colored NSX was able to keep up, but as we have entered lap 2, I found my NSX to be superior even in performance as I pulled away on the straights. I sensed a tinge of oversteer right on there. Good thing I managed to correct the car before it committed Beyblade. This little incident gave the other NSX a chance to get up close and personal, but was once again denied by my blue NSX speed. Like usual, I tried to use the curves for these corners, but apparently I approached it too fast, as the NSX briefly lost contact with the ground. Despite this, apparently I had done the third lap faster than before. On the fifth lap, the similar jump happened, but this time, it leaked into a drift. Might have looked cool on the replay, but I doubt it had helped in terms of speed. In the end, I gained first place, and to my surprise, I thought the racer in third was the other NSX, but as it turned out, the yellow NA1 was nested in fifth. Truly a crying shame. This next race was a toughie. 4 laps on Suzuka circuit. That's roughly 24 kilometers. Interesting. That's an obscenely large amount of Integras in one race. The lights counted the racers down, and off we went. I launched off, immediately gaining first. The soft sports, while boasting excellent grip, was relatively lacking in endurance. Unfortunately, the latter will be tested through this long race. I felt a looming uneasiness on the blind corners, which drove me to press the brakes. While I still led with a significant advantage, I still thought I had taken that corner way too slow. The Casio triangle came up, while sharp, at least I knew what I had to do. On the second lap, the gap was already so massive. I would rather busy myself in bettering my lap times. I controlled my throttle on the S curves. My performance on the Dunlop curve clearly could use some improvements, so could my turning on the hairpin. Before the spoon curve, I screwed up. I turned too hard and too soon, causing my car to eat grass. It ran out of control, and as a result, my Honda ran deep into the sand. I seriously hate that blind corner, I really do. But despite this major skillless issueless moment, I picked myself up and blasted past the curve. This time, I drove around the Casio triangle better. Determined to not repeat that disastrous lap, I soldiered to lap 3. I weaved through the east sector and sped past the Dunlop curve in a much smoother approach. After the hairpin, the hateful blind corner came up. While shaky, at least I didn't send the car off the track this time. I put down the hammer, taking full advantage of the straights and carefully navigated through the chicane. And before I knew it, I've already on the final lap. This time, I was too impatient at taking the final curve in the S-curves. Though, at this lap, I've learned to make peace with the blind corners. Finally, I finished in first, after driving for almost 10 whole minutes. The next race was set on Motorland, a circuit as small as the beginner's course. We had to do 10 laps? I took the grey Integra and wasted no time on snatching the red NSX's spot away, taught the hatchback driver a lesson, and aimed for the remaining 2 competitors. Soon, the grey NSX was overtaken, but my attempt at getting the victory royale was halted by this Accord nearly shoving me off to the sands. Red Accord, you are a curse, and I hope people will use your name as an insult in the future. I soon dueled the red Honda once more, and this time I reigned as champion. To add the salt into the wound, the red Accord's line got so wide it touched grass. On the second lap, I was yet to be able to relax as the grey NSX hunted me down for my trophy. Too bad the grey one only lasted half a lap. Things were about to get interesting. On the 5th lap, every racer, save for the last 2, were practically running on their own. The gap was so wide, the race might as well has been decided then and there. On the 6th lap, I finally got to see who were the snails of the bunch. What? What's going on, man? You were in the slow back in town.
You know, so when the engine is breaking down.
Then go pit. Car trouble happens all the time.
No way, I'd rather finish 5th than DNF.
You sure? Your car might end up worse.
Yeah, I know. Don't you worry about me, just win.
Suit yourself. On the 9th lap, I saw the tires indicator on the right side was concerningly lime-colored, a sign that my soft spots had begun to give out. I must finish this race as soon as possible, before these tires became unbearable to drive on. Phew, made it. Weird. The tires were disused on Suzuka, so why would it be on this one? Also 3 NSXs taking the entire podium? Finally, a race that ended the way it should be. The final race of the meet would be set on Tsukuba. Also 10 laps? Wow! Can my tires even survive this? Time for us to test them. Hey, you got your car fixed up?
Which duct tape? Previous HUD.
Man, fix your car.
Don't worry about me, bro. Just drive.
Alright, guess I'll leave him there then. Made him duct tapes lost. I engaged in battle for a second against the silver Integra. I quickly changed lanes to cleanly overpower the red Integra and gained first. Like the rest of them races, at this point, my concern would be setting fast lap times. On the first turn, I remained close to the curbs. I upped my pace to quickly reach turn 4. Through what I thought was a proper racing line, I took on the hairpin. I used the same technique to negotiate through turn 8. All this effort landed me a solid 1 minute, 4.255 seconds. According to fastestlaps.com, the fastest lap time a NSX ever recorded in this track was 1 minute, 4.2 seconds, just a tad bit faster than my lap time. Sure, the fact I'm playing a PlayStation 2 game and the driver scored the lap time was driving in real life is already too much of a difference, but still, I still want to try and break that record. The third and fourth lap had gone without a personal best, but then, there it came, the fifth lap. I relied on the curbs for the first corner, hammered down and used the middle point of the curbs as apex points for turn 2 and 3, which allowed a better entry point for turn 4. Beautifully executed turn 5 and entered turn 6 from an advantageous point. There are rooms for improvement on turn 8, but on turn 9, I controlled the throttle to keep a balance between speed and control, allowing the car to turn as fast as it could without losing itself to the sands waiting on the side. And there it is, yet another personal best. This time, it was on 1 minute 39, a time faster than the likes of Audi R8 and the Mercedes AMG GT. Supercars on an era beyond the game itself, let alone the NSX. Even though this was just a video game, I believe this lap time is something to be proud of. I thought there was no way I could score an even better time than this. Both the car's tires and myself were quite spent after dozens of kilometers racing. Speaking of the tires, some of them had gone too lime for my liking, warning the soft tires were reaching the end of their usage lives. Through well-planned racing line, I took on the first turn, used the curves on turn 2 and 3 as apex points and entered turn 4 on a favorable position. I negotiated the turn well and used the curves to my advantage on turn 5. I used turn 6's slanted curve to gain speed and brake timely to handle the next corner. As for the final turn, I remained close to the curbs. The result? Another fastest lap on 1 minute and 3.3, a lap time faster than a Porsche 911 Turbo. Imagine if a racer managed to pull that off in a stock NSX-R with decent sports tires in real life. But this personal best costed more life to be chipped away from my tires as the colors of the indicator grew more yellow, and from the shakiness on the 7th turn, looks like my fatigue had finally caught up. That's a win in the books. After almost 11 minutes of non-stop action, the Black Integra's is last? Again? That blockhead, I told him to fix his car. Our set of events won, and this time, the car I would get after all that trouble would be the silver Acura HSC. I think both you and I know where this is going. As I've expected, the NSX brought big wins to the house Drakes, but there are still a lot of events this car could participate in. On which one I will tackle first, we shall see soon. So how did it go?
You know how it is. You won, didn't you?
Yeah, but I was asking about your Integra.
Yeah, so basically they need to rebuild my whole engine. The duct tape thing didn't really work out.
I told you.
Hey, if I dropped out, I'd miss out all the fun I could be getting racing with you.
Thanks, but I won't just race on the Type R meeting, you know. I still got lots of other events to win.
Wow, you really are a busy bee.
All to complete the contract.
Contract? What contract?
I'm under contract with the Blue Troopers. Ever heard of them?
Blue Troopers? You mean Lula?
Yeah, you know him?
It's... God damn it, not you. What do you want now?
I want this blown up lapdog out of here, that's what.
Whoa, what did I do to warrant any of that?
Shut up, lapdog. And do you know what's good for you? You won't leave. right now.
You know contracts don't work that way. I'm here to race at a world championship and win.
I don't know who stuck ID to signing that paper, and I don't really care, but if you keep racing in Gran Turismo under him, I'll make sure you never win again.
With what? That Z?
Well, you'll see. I get pals all around.
And your friends are supposed to be fast.
Why don't you f*** around and find out?